And just making the point that when you think about the New England Patriots, it's all good. They got the quarterback. What else do they have? What else do they have? I'm already getting some pushback about the 3 and 10 years is not a dynasty. The Pats and Chiefs did it 3 and 5 years. I don't know. If I look back, Patriots did 3 and 10 years, right? It could have been 3 and 5, but no matter how you want to look at it, it was 3 and 10. And I guess we could go on this long run for Patrick Mahomes. Although he hasn't been in the league, he's got 3 in 8 years. Right? So couldn't it get to that point? Just trying to bring that up. Just trying to bring that to the table there, the 3 and the 10 years, although the Chiefs does look a little bit better at 3 and 5. So looking at the Patriots and how does what happened with the Eagles compare to the Patriots and what they do in the draft, the Patriots are far away from the Eagles. Like, let's be realistic right now. Most fans are happy Mike Vrabel's here. Most fans are here that Josh McDaniels is here. Like, people are happy about that. And that they have Drake May. But I do have to remind you that they have one of the worst offensive lines in football and probably need to replace 4 out of the 5 guys. Maybe even find 3 out of the 5 guys. And I'll also remind you that their rushing defense was horrific last year. They were one of the worst teams in the league at stopping the run. They have no pass rush whatsoever. They have none. So, do they need skill players on their team? No doubt. No doubt. But to Curran's point, and my point really, the QB can be great, but he can't be what you want him to be without protecting him. And that's exactly what happened with Jalen Hurts. Hurts was a second-round pick because of his ability and upside. But Carson Wentz was supposed to be the guy there for a long time. He blew it. By the way, did you notice that they didn't have a little embrace? I think Hurts tried to walk up to Wentz, and Wentz just walked away. Just walked away from it. I thought that was pretty good. But now it brings up, what do the Patriots do in the draft? I mentioned no pass rush, worst offensive, defensive lines that can't stop the run. There's a lot going on there. And I know Adam Schefter had this in one of his write-ups today, the 5 most interesting teams of the NFL offseason. Making the Patriots coaching job even more appealing to Mike Vrabel was the fact the team has a league-high $110 million in cap space. They'll have the financial liberty to upgrade its roster however it sees fit, whether it's having the chance to pay T. Higgins, $30 million a year, or upgrading the offensive line. That will all be addressed. Goes on to say, being an established coach and more than $100 million in cap space, the Patriots also have other advantages. They have a young quarterback in Drake May, who personnel people across the league agree has a chance to develop into a bona fide standout. They also have the number 4 pick, where they'll be in position to help Drake May. They are positioned to set up its franchise for years to come. The decisions the Patriots make this offseason will help determine how successful they will be. So that's the write-up from Adam Schefter regarding one of the 5 most interesting teams in the offseason. I know Field Yates had a mock draft. He created a few scenarios for the Patriots. I mentioned Travis Hunter and Abdul Carter could be off the board. Thus, one of the 2 top QBs in the draft could be available at 4. Could that create a scenario for trade interest? He also mentions that the 2 names that the Patriots should look at are Will Campbell, tackle from LSU, and Mason Graham, defensive tackle from Michigan. Now, of the 2, I think the safer pick is Mason Graham. But do you draft a D tackle for overall? Like, does that happen? And the other thing is, well, from what we heard about from our buddy in Tennessee is Mike Vrabel loves to draft tackles who can't play tackle, and that's exactly what Will Campbell at least has been. And we haven't seen the combine yet, but that's what many people expect or, have mentioned about him. Chad Reuter, he works for the NFL Network. He mocked Penn State edge rusher Abdul Carter to the Patriots at number 4 overall, but both Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders were off the board with 2 of the top 3 selections. So if that happens, Abdul Carter would be a standout for the Pats. They don't have a pass rush. They don't have a pass rusher. This is something that they need. Now, how does it help Drake May? I don't know. Like, maybe it helps on some big third down plays that can send a pass rush to get the football back and not give up points and chase. I don't know how it really helps them, but that's where I'm going with it. Chad Reuter also picked the whole draft, by the way. NFL Network predicted the Patriots would draft Minnesota offensive tackle Arante Ursary. Right? Ursary, I think his name is. He's the big tackle from Minnesota. You got to see this guy. They have him with the 38th pick. So they have Carter, Ursary, the big tackle, and then from there they have him selecting Texas wide receiver Isaiah Bond with the 69th overall pick. Dude's a stud. Anybody who watched Texas this year, stud. And then they have him selecting with the 77th pick, Travion Henderson, running back from Ohio State. Anyone who's watched this kid, one of the toughest runners in the country, how do you fail drafting an Ohio State running back? Right? He has all of those players projected within the top 50, yet falling to the Patriots. Bond at 69, Henderson at 77. To me, those would be college names that you're aware of. At least you have the stud in Abdul Carter. You got Isaiah Bond, who, again, is this outside receiver who can do a ton of things. And Travion Henderson, well, at least it gives you now another running back to groom, considering you just gave Ramondre Stevenson an extension, but he fumbles the football. I think they could use another running back in that room. I don't want a veteran. I know Gibson ran pretty well last year, but Henderson's ability to catch the football out of the backfield, that intrigues me. So I know we're talking about 3rd and 4th round running backs here, but you know what? This team needs to get better. They have holes everywhere. There's probably 3 guys on that defense that I could tell you is coming back. It's Christian Gonzalez. I mean, I want to tell you it's Christian Barmore, but I don't know. Keon White, probably. I mean, they need Juwan Bentley, but how does he return after his injury? They have holes everywhere. This is what I'm trying to tell you. They are far, far, far away from the Eagles. So when you look at the schedule, you start making projections for next year, just remember, they have no interior and no offensive line. None. It's a long process, and they have to hit on the draft. Look at the Eagles draft. Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith. You go through it. I already mentioned Mitchell and DeJean. Right? Look at those guys alone. And they know how to plug guys in, free agents, guys that were big-time draft picks that might have not have done well, like a Mekhi Becton, a guy like that. Plug them right into that offensive line. Boom. The Patriots will have the money to do it, but when this team gets better in possibly 2 or 3 years, you still want those free agents that you signed this year to make an impact then. So I know people are high on Deebo Samuel or Cooper Kupp. I mean, Kupp's age will get in the way of that one. Samuel, But just looking at this team, the Patriots themselves, man, they got a lot of work to do, and they need to hit in the draft this year. Your thoughts, 617-779-0985. We got a full show tonight, as I mentioned to you all, so let's get to it. Let's start with Bob. He's in Londonderry. Hey, Bob.
Hey, enjoy your show, Mr. Murray. You do a great. You guys are great. It's always something interesting. I wish you'd expand the wrestling talk a bit, but I understand it's a subject for another day. A lot of us that watched this game at least said one thing, and we're not being rude or crude, but at least between Taylor Swift, Patrick Mahomes, and Kelsey, at least like the rest of us with this bad economy, now they have to be a little mad and upset and have their life disrupted with the end result of what happened. Good or bad, that's all I'm saying.
I think Taylor Swift's doing just fine, everybody.
Yeah, I hate to break the bad news to that guy. I don't think the outcome of that football game really affects the scheme of things there for Taylor Swift, or even, maybe Patrick Mahomes be sad for a little while. I think his life's all right. I think he's going to rebound. I think he'll be okay.
I think Travis Kelce's going to be okay, right?
Yeah, I think he'll get over it.
Maybe retires, make the Hall of Fame in a couple of years.
Yeah,
right?
I think he'll survive, Joe.
Maybe he's got his podcast with his brother. Mahomes, I think he's going to be all right.
If that's what's giving you joy, I don't know. might be time to take a good hard look at yourself. I don't know.
You know what? Just a weird Taylor Swift take. I think people hate Kim Kardashian just to hate Kim Kardashian. Now, has she done some things that were tasteless or maybe made some poor decisions? Sure. Dating, all that stuff, marriage, I mean, come on. It's not like you guys don't do the same thing. She's famous for being famous because of her dad and her mom. But, I don't know. And I know that Kim Kardashian wants to talk to Luka Doncic. Go for it.
Joe, you got God on that one.
I got God. But go for it. It's like you just hate Kim because her last name. So now you just hate Taylor because she's super famous.
I'm impressed how you turned this into a Kim Kardashian thing.
No, I'm just trying to make that. Some people they say the Kardashians just to say it negatively, but know nothing about them.
Yeah, but the only thing there is Taylor Swift is talented.
Yes. Kim Kardashian's famous for her family and for being famous. Taylor is a writer who makes music, who became the biggest concert to go see ever. The Eras Tour is huge, everybody. You know how much money she made? And we talked about this last night. She's bigger than the Super Bowl.
She might have been sad for one day, though.
She got booed by her hometown fans because she's dating a Chief who's going to the Hall of Fame. Anyways, that guy Bob in Londonderry has joy today over that. I don't know why I brought the Kardashians into this. I just feel like people hate on them because they hate them, It's easy to say. It's not like it's it's like, what do you know about the Kardashians? Let's talk to Sean in the car. Hey, Sean.
Hey, Joe. Love the show. Earlier you mentioned if the Philadelphia Eagles win their third Super Bowl in 10 years, are they a dynasty? You have to remember that's two separate coaching staffs. I think you can count the remaining players from 17 on one hand. And you compare them to the Patriots. The Patriots won 3 out of 4 Super Bowls, and then 3 out of 5 going to 4. Their second dynasty.
But overall, it was 3 out of 10.
Oh.
The first one. They didn't win for 10 years.
It was 3 out of 4.
Yes, what I'm trying to tell you, though, is they didn't win for 10 years. So looking at it, right? Look at the scale. They won in let's call it 01, right? They won in
01, 03, and 04.
When was their next championship?
14, 16, and 18.
Yeah, so yes, they won 6, but there were 2 different dynasties. Same coach, to your point. Is it a dynasty or not? If
same quarterback, too, and the same core for both separate dynasties. But if you're talking about the Eagles, they have 3 different quarterbacks, 2 head coaches, and you can probably count their core on one hand from 17.
But what I'm trying to, is that a good thing or a bad thing?
No, it's just not a dynasty because it's turnover.
Okay, so
and it's far apart. You're talking about a decade.
Well, just with the 49ers, a dynasty with George Seifert winning? And
I think the only thing that's consistent is the owner, right?
Well, that's what I'm trying to say. They had Steve Mariucci and Seifert, and, they... Yeah,
I'm just saying it sounds like it's apples and oranges. If they win, 3 in the next 5, 6, 7 years, yeah, but not spanning a decade.
So, but 3 championships in 10 years? No, you don't give them the benefit. Okay, but if they win back to back, what if they win 3 in a row? They become the first team to win 3 in a row.
Yeah, absolutely.
So because that would be 4 in 10 years.
If they win 3 in a row, I don't count the 17 with these next 3.
Okay, so if they go back-to-back, it's 3-10. If they win 3 in a row, it's 4-10. Dynasty?
I would consider it 3 in a row.
You would consider it 3 in a row more than the 4 out of 10. Even though they're both
I think
the same
going
thing.
back to the previous dynasties and the Cowboys, the 49ers, you're talking about 3 Super Bowls in the span of like 4 or 5 years. Yes.
Okay. All right, Sean. Thank you. So the dynasty is 3 out of 5, guys. That's what we learned tonight. Dynasty, 3 out of 5 only. Forget the 10-year span. 3 out of 6? Okay, thank you, Josh. He was doing sign language to me. Wow, there's a lot of stuff going on tonight, huh? Our Slack channel's buzzing right now. I want to take a couple more of you. Let's talk to Dave. He's in Weston. Hey, Dave.
Man, that got painful for a second there.
Well, while you're listening to it, what do you think? 3-10. What would you do?
No, I think you go by the franchise, not the people so much, right? I mean, there's always going to be changeover and overlap and different players, and the Pats. I agree with you. The Pats, you take it was a 20-year dynasty, but you could absolutely break it into 2 smaller dynasties, no question about it. I think if you win, I think you got to win 3. I think too many people are willing to just throw the dynasty word around like it's nothing. I think you got to win 3 in a relatively short period of time if you're going to be considered an NFL dynasty. And the fact that the Pats did it, I know they didn't win for 10 years, but they were still there every single year. I mean, that was a 20-year run like nobody will ever see again.
Yeah, man. What do you
right?
What do you think the Pats are in that case right now?
I mean, look how far away they are, right? And so, and the thing is, to your salary cap point, Joe, is like there's a reason they have a bunch of space right now because they don't spend the money, right? I mean, this is a team that nickel and dimed Tom Brady for 20 years, right? And I know he willingly gave the money back, but then when he did, they shoved it down his throat by saying, well, we're not going to go spend it. Thanks for, not taking it. And then they give him the horrible set of receivers and things like that. So, for a team that's going to nickel and dime him, and then they wouldn't give him, and I know it was Belichick, but they wouldn't give him 2 for $50 million at the end. So now all of a sudden, just because they have 110 sitting in credit, they're going to start spending it. So, like, what have they done the past 5 years, right? They haven't spent anything. And so I just don't see them turning around and saying, wow, this is a whole brand new beginning. We got Vrabel, we got the quarterback. Let's just start spending. I just don't see it happening. It's just not with this ownership.
My whole problem is like, all right, well, here you go. Here's the 120. Go spend it. And then you spend the money on guys that aren't here long-term during Drake May's prime. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's like, yeah, you can go. Like Deebo Samuel, the one thing I'll say about him is could he – I do think he's getting longer in the tooth, and he's probably not going to be like a running back anymore like he's been with San Fran. But, when Drake May's finally going, like, can you get something out of him in year 3 or 4? And that's why I don't want to spend money on guys like that. I know you have to trade for him, but I want the guys that you're spending money on to be a part of this when Drake May's in his prime.
Right. And so do you worry about, they're as you point out all their weaknesses, and there's a lot of room there's a lot of space that they have to fill before they become that contender team. So do you want to spend the money now when they're rebuilding? You brought up a good point. Philly has the blueprint. If you can draft well, which this team hasn't really done, and it's been sporadic. If they can draft well and do it over 2 or 3 years and people can be patient, then great. But I have a feeling that people around here are not going to be patient because they've got the new quarterback. They've got Vrabel. I think they expect this team to win 9 or 10 games next year and go to the playoffs, and that's just not going to happen.
I appreciate your call, my man. Thank you. If you like that clip, check out more videos from my show, The Joe Murray Show, here. For more Patriots analysis and opinion, hit this playlist. And for all the latest from the Sports Hub, download the app at 985thesportshub.com.